Okay. Dinanath sir, should we start now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good morning. Very good morning, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, and my dear students. On behalf of IQAC, ICC, Internal Complaint Committee, and Equal Opportunity Cell, Mahatma Gandhi Shikshan Mandal's Arts, Science and Commerce College, Chopda, I am Dr. Lalchand Bhaulal Patle. Welcome you all the participants in one-day national level webinar on gender sensitization and equality in Indian context. I take an opportunity to welcome our dignitaries, Honorable Dr. Asma Khan Ma'am, Associate Professor, Department of English, New Social College, Solapur, Maharashtra, Dr. Salvin Paul Sir, Assistant Professor in Peace and Conflicts Study, Central University, Sikkim, Jalgaon, Gangtok. Dr. Preeti Sinha Ma'am, Assistant Professor, Department of History, Lal Baba College, Kolkata, West Bengal. Honorable Professor Dr. A.L. Chaudhary Sir, Principal ASC College, Chopda, Vice Principals Dr. V.T. Patil Sir, Dr. K.N. Sonone Sir, Mr. N.S. Kolhe Sir, and all my dear teachers, supporting staffs, and dear students. Once again, I extend my warm and hearty welcome to each one of you, all participants in this webinar. I humbly request to Professor Dr. A.L. Chaudhary Sir to preside over the inaugural function. Chaudhary Sir is there?
Sir is coming in just 1 minute.
Okay.
So we will just wait for 1 minute. And then
okay. No problem, sir. Okay. So we will wait. Okay. Chaudhary Sir, okay. Welcome, Chaudhary Sir. I humbly request to Chaudhary Sir to preside over the inaugural function. Thank you, sir, for accepting the presidencyship of this function. Sir Nelson Mandela says, freedom cannot be achieved unless women have been emancipated of all kinds of appreciation. A nation can progress and attain higher development growth only when both men and women are entitled to equal opportunities. Women in the societies are often concerned and are refrained from getting equal rights as men to health, to education, to decision making, and also in economic independency in terms of earnings. As per the World Economic Forum's gender gap ranking, India stands at the rank of 108th position out of 149 countries. This rank is a major concern as it highlights the immense gap in opportunities in women with comparison to the men. In Indian society, from a long time back, the social structure has been such that the women are neglected in many areas like education, health, decision making areas, financial independency, etc. And this is big challenge for our country. To overcome this challenge, we as higher education system has responsibility to diminish this discrimination by spreading awareness about the laws, about the rights of women in the Indian society. Now I would like to invite Mr. Dinanath Patil sir, convener of this webinar and IQAC coordinator of our college, to preface the webinar. Dinanath Patil sir.
Thank you, sir. On this very pleasant morning. First of all, I take this opportunity to welcome all the participants, dignitaries who have joined this webinar from the nook and corner of the country. I heartily welcome on behalf of MGSM'S AC College Chopda. Welcome all the participants. Honorable President Mahatma Gandhi Shikshan Mandal Chopda, Advocate Sandeep Suresh Patil, Honorable Secretary of MGSM Chopda, Dr. Smita Sandeep Patil, President for today's webinar, Principal Professor Dr. A.L. Chowdhury Sir, Vice Principals of the college, Chairman of Internal Complaints Committee, so Maya Shinde Madam, and all my faculty members and students. The webinars are happening in numbers since the pandemic has begun, and we have shifted from physical conferences to these online conferences. It has become a new normal, but the issues are same. If I would like to share that in 2018 we have conducted a national workshop on gender equality and gender sensitization, and even during that event we got overwhelming response from the participants, and it was a great success. So for the second time we are organizing event on gender equality and gender discrimination. I would also like to tell all the participants that we know that the enrollment ratio of girls is lower as compared to boys in as far as higher education is concerned. But I'm very happy to share that in our college, the enrollment ratio of girls is higher than boys. When we conduct classes, sometimes we feel that we are teaching in a girls' college because the ratio is very high, and it is a very distinctive feature of our college. And we always try to provide good opportunities, equal opportunities to girls and boys. So in this, in tune with our vision and mission, we always try to organize such events. We know that accelerating progress and opportunities across India for every girl and boy, every child deserves to reach her or his full potential. But gender inequalities in their lives and in lives of those who care for them hinder this reality. Wherever they live in India, girls and boys see gender inequality in their homes and communities every day, in textbooks, in movies, in media, among the men and women who provide their care and support. Across India, gender gender inequality results in unequal opportunities. Due to this gender disparity, there is unequal opportunities available for boys and girls. Which results in unequal opportunities. And while it impacts on the lives of both genders, statistically, it is the girls that are the most disadvantaged. This is what exactly I said, that I want to focus on. Girls are the victim of this gender disparity, mostly in India, because I'm talking in the Indian context. Globally, girls have higher survival rates at birth. Biologically, girls are more resilient as compared to the boys. But this case is also adverse in India. Means mortality rate of girls under 5 is more as compared to any other country, or as compared to the world ratio. Girls have higher survival rate at birth, are more likely to be developmentally on track, just as likely to participate in preschool. But India is the only large country where more girls die than boys. Girls are also more likely to drop out of school. In India, girls and boys experience adolescence differently. While boys tend to experience greater freedom, girls tend to face extensive limitations on their ability to move freely and to make decisions affecting their work, education, marriage, and social relationships. As girls and boys age, the gender barriers continue to expand and continue into adulthood, where we see only a quarter of women in the formal workplace. Means workplace scenario is also very different for boys and girls, and we see less recruitment as far as women are concerned in most of the sectors. Some Indian women are global leaders, powerful voices in diverse fields, but most women and girls in India do not fully enjoy many of their rights due to deeply entrenched patriarchal views, norms, tradition, and structures. India will not fully develop unless both girls and boys are equally supported to reach their full potential. There are risks, violations, vulnerabilities girls face just because they are girls. Most of these risks are directly linked to economic, political, social, and cultural disadvantages girls deal with in their daily lives. This becomes acute during crises and disasters. With the prevalence of gender discrimination and social norms and practices, girls become exposed to the possibility of child marriage, teenage pregnancy, child domestic work, poor education, health, sexual abuse, exploitation, violence, and so on. Many of these manifestations will not change unless girls are valued more. So, with these, with such kind of events, uh, the college strives to spread awareness about giving rights, freedom to both genders. I'm not saying that only girls should be valued, but both genders should have equality in terms of education, health, and every aspect of life. So, with this motive in our mind, we have organized this webinar uh, to spread the gender equality and to sensitize students and staffs and all the stakeholders regarding this gender gap and various issues associated with gender. And for this workshop, we have invited learned resource persons from various renowned colleges and universities of India. With this note, I end my preface and I assure that this webinar will be a great intellectual feast for all of you. Thank you for joining. Over to you, Dr. Patle, sir.
Thank you, Dinanath Patil sir, for nicely prefacing the webinar. And I heartily welcome Honorable President Advocate Sandeep Suresh Patil sir for joining the webinar. Welcome once again, and I also welcome our resource person, Dr. Salvin Paul sir, who has just joined the webinar. Thank you for joining. Now, I would like to invite Honorable Principal Professor Dr. A.L. Chaudhary sir for his inaugural speech. Professor A.L. Chaudhary sir, over to you, sir.
Very good morning to all of you. So, on the behalf of Arts, Science and Commerce College, Chopda, as a principal of this college, I heartily welcome all of you in this online webinar, which is organized by our, that is ICC, the Internal Complaint Committee, as well as IQAC and the Equal Opportunity Cell of the Arts, Science and Commerce College, Chopda. In this means I will take the opportunity to introduce my college in this webinar here. Our college, that is Mahatma Gandhi Shikshan Mandal's Arts, Science and Commerce College, Chopda, established in 1969 by Honorable late Dada Saheb Dr. Sureshji Patil. Now at the beginning here, so we start this college about the 100 students here, but now we'll find that there are the 3,000 students, they are taking the education at various disciplines here. Our college is affiliated to the, permanently affiliated to the North Maharashtra University, that is Kavitri by Bainabai Chaudhary, North Maharashtra University, Jalgaon. Now, the area of our college is about the 36-acre area, which is very greenery. So we got the Vanashri Award from the government of Maharashtra for this greenery. Now we have the various programs which are run by the college here. We have the UG programs like BA, BCom, BSc, as well as postgraduate BA, MA, MCom, MSc. In addition to that, we are running the some additional courses, that is certificate courses, as well as the COC courses at our level. Now, some of the laboratories, they are recognized as a research center by the KBCNMU Jalgaon. So we have the PhD programs at various subjects here. So this is one of the most important things. In addition to that, we also run some professional courses like BBA, BCA, MCM, and BOC also. Now, recently we got the best college awards, which is given by the KBC North Maharashtra University Jalgaon for the year 2018-19. Now, the one more things I want to add this here. So, what are the infrastructure which is given by our management here? Our Honorable President, Advocate Sahib Sureshji Patil, our Secretary, Honorable Tai Sahib. So they are given various things, means they will participate in all the activities of the college here, and they promote us to do the various things like the webinars, and as well as means they will always encourage us to encourage to the right around the arrange the programs which will for the overall development of the students here. Now today's seminar is webinar is one of the part of that thing here. Now today's we are organizing this online webinar on gender sensitization as well as equal opportunity with reference to the India here. So as you find that in India here, so we'll have the one more thing. So I want to introduce here. So the discrimination against the women and girls is preservative and long running phenomenon that characterize the Indian society at every level. Then India progressed towards the greater equality measured by the position on the ranking such as gender development index has disappointing despite fairly rapid rates of the economic growth here. In the past decade, while India GDP has grown about 6%, there has been a large decline in the female labor forces participating from 34% to 27% here. So this gender sensitization, this one of the things here. So this refers to the modifications of the behavior by raising the awareness of the gender equality concern. Gender sensitization theories claim that the modification of the behavior of the teachers and the parents towards the child can have a causal effect on the gender equality. So in this way, we are organized this. This is a theme of our webinar, today's webinar. In the last few years, we also organized some events which are based on the gender sensitization here. So with these few words, so I will conclude my inaugural speech. So I will wish you best luck and the best wishes to the organization of this webinar here. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Over to Dr. Patle.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Chaudhary sir, for nicely introducing our college. And I would like to welcome our secretary, Dr. Smita Patil, for joining our webinar. We are very fortunate to have ma'am among us. Ladies and gentlemen, we are very fortunate to have our keynote speaker among us, Honorable Dr. Asma Khan ma'am. She is working as Associate Professor, Department of English, New Social College, Solapur, Maharashtra. Madam has around 15 years of experience in the teaching field. She has delivered various talks in different conferences and webinars. Madam has delivered lecture in so many refresher courses, orientation courses, FDPs organized by various HRDC centers. She has published more than 20 research articles in reputed peer-reviewed journals. Her expertise is in gender studies and feminism. I would like to invite Dr. Asma Khan ma'am to deliver her keynote speech on this occasion. Asma Khan ma'am, over to you ma'am.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. First of all, I thank Chopda College for inviting me, giving me the opportunity to speak to you. I thank Dr. Smita Tai Sandeep Patil, Secretary, MGSM Chopda. I thank Principal Professor A.L. Chaudhary and other dignitaries whose name I forget. I also am very glad to speak with other two dignitaries speakers. I am thankful to the whole college staff for giving me the opportunity, for listening to me. But most of all, my thanks is due to Dr. Dinanath Patil sir, a wonderful person, a wonderful orator, quite knowledgeable and feisty, who doesn't mince words and who is never afraid to speak his mind. So thank you, Dinanath Patil sir, and everyone over here. I hear gender sensitization. Apart from my introduction, thanks for the kind introduction. I would like to say that I have written more than 74 creative articles in various magazines all over India and all over the world. My pen name is Asma Anjum Khan. You can just search my name on Google. My story has been accepted to be published by Oxford University Press. I have been published by Geeta Hariharan and Sachidanand's Guftagu journal. And these are the honors which I have received and miles to go before I stop. So let us come to the point, gender discrimination. Whenever we talk about gender discrimination, misogyny, women empowerment, and such things, normally most of the ordinary folks like us, they start confusing these terms. And so the thing that happens is that our mind simply stops reacting or thinking. What is all this? Women empowerment, gender discrimination, all this happens. These talks go on and on. And there is no concrete solution presented or concrete solution talked about, or what exactly it is. It is never given over there. So the first thing is that when everybody thinks that gender discrimination doesn't happen with them. Last month, I was conducting a soft skills program for my students, and I asked them, does gender discrimination happen in your homes? Everybody said, no, it never happens. It never happens in our home. Then I asked them, who cleans the table after the dinner? And everyone was quiet. And the girls raised their hands and said, we do. So this is how gender discrimination is quite hidden, is quite evolved in some glorious terms. And that's why many of the people, they don't even realize that gender discrimination is happening. Everyone was so sure that it doesn't happen in their homes, but who cleans the table after the dinner? It is the girls who have cleaned the table. And what do the boys of the home do? They just go and play with their mobile phones or go and watch television. Similarly, I was asked to speak at an event where they were discussing the dangers to women, the dangers to girls, and how mobile phones should not be given to the girls. The girls of our colleges and schools should be stop from using the mobile phones. I asked them a simple question. Are you putting this ban also on the boys? And the man looked at me surprised, quite shocked. He said, his looks told me, how can you even ask a question? How can it be that mobile phones be banned for the boys? Because banning, etc., it always happens with the girls. It's with women who have to put up, who have to suffer, who have to pass through this crushing process. They have to go on suppressing themselves, sacrificing many of their natural rights just because the society says it is a healthy society. Nobody even gives a thought that even the boys can be stopped from using mobile phones. Because I told him, if you fear that your girl is going astray, is going to be misled by a boy for using the mobile phones, then there is every chance that your son, your brother is also misleading some girl. So you see, gender discrimination in our society is quite you can say, a double-edged sword. It is there, but it is still not there. It is visible, but it is still not invisible. So you see, Gloria Steinem, the next slide, please. Gloria Steinem says that few have the courage to raise our sons like our daughters. Many of our people say that मेरी बेटी नहीं मेरा बेटा है, but few can say that ये मेरा बेटा नहीं है मेरी बेटी है. So you see, the discrimination is very subtle. We have to be quite alert into pick it up. So the day we start raising our daughters more like sons, but we don't have the courage to raise our sons more like our daughters. Next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah. Then Gloria Steinem also says that the bringing up of girls and boys in an environment which is undivisive, which is equal for both of them, is a guarantee for world peace. There are things that the qualities which are deemed as feminine. Patience. Women are very patient, Women are very empathetic. They understand the situation very well. Attention to detail. A woman can do the embroidery. And it requires attention to detail. Men are not like that. You see, once I had read that cutting onions the prerogative belongs only to women, because they have the coordination with the eyes and the hand, which the men lack. I didn't know whether to laugh or the cry, because these are patience, empathy, attention to detail, emotions. All these are human qualities. They are not genderly discriminated according to genders. God is not unjust. He has provided all these qualities to both of us, both the genders equally. It is we who discriminate. It is we who have decided that these qualities belong to women and these qualities belong to men, and they don't overlap. Problem is that women have learned many of the qualities deemed the but the same cannot be said for the men. The one word here is world peace. If we bring up our sons and daughters in an equal atmosphere, in a justified atmosphere, then most of the problems will not occur. It will lead to world peace. So the next slide is why any discussion on gender discrimination must include men. We will go to Sir. I think 1 minute. Any discussion on gender discrimination must include men, because you see, even men are discriminated against, boys are discriminated against. Whenever a boy wants to play with a doll, or he wants to participate in the little games of the girls, like the cooking and Gharkul, like that. So the boys are not allowed to do that. When a boy cries, it's okay, sir, it's okay. When the boy cries, he is told, why are you crying like a girl? So the boy immediately makes up his mind that crying is disempowering. Crying makes me appear weak, so I will not cry. If a boy is too chatty, he expresses himself frequently, he is immediately there, you talk like girls. So the boy makes up his mind, the attitudes it build up, that chatting more, talking more, expressing more is a womanly quality, and I should stay away from it. He is falsely fed the ideas of toxic masculinity, not crying, not expressing, holding up the emotions, and you see, never allowing anyone to know what exactly is going on in his heart and mind. My dear friends, in this gender discrimination, boys also suffer immensely. They suffer because they are not allowed a natural outlet for their emotions. They are forced to live an existence which is not according to what they feel and what they think. They want to express, but they can't. And the only expression, as they grow up, the attitude is built up. As they grow up, they know that there is no outlet for them, and there is only one single outlet remains, and that is of violence. So the men, most of the boys, they resort to violence or verbal attacks because they don't know how to express themselves. Because since childhood, we have trained them like that. Don't express, don't be chatty, don't cry, and don't play with the girls. These things are not your field. So in this way, we are discriminating against boys as well. And any discussion on gender discrimination shall remain incomplete if we do not include men and boys into it, because it is not just a problem specific to the women. It is a problem for us, for the humanity. And when we say women's rights, I think women's rights are human rights. Because when we say women's rights, we are limiting ourselves. The men think that these are women's rights, we have nothing to do with that. But my dear friends, I would urge all my male friends over here to give it a thought, that we can't achieve, we both of us can't achieve our rights and duties if we do not help each other. So I think that feminism has become so rotten a word today because of misinterpretation. Feminism I take as upholding the women's rights, but it has been so misused, abused, that it has become a rotten kind of term that people are afraid to using. So I say women's rights are human rights. So let us I strongly believe that empower begins from within. Empowerment, women empowerment, the solution to gender discrimination, how it will come? It will come from within. It is also correct that I talked about boys being discriminated, but majority, 90% of the discrimination happens with women. And that's why we talk more about the discrimination that is happening with us. Most of the time, we girls feel guilty. We girls feel afraid to speak our mind. We girls, we women say, what will happen if I say this thing in a meeting, in a college meeting? What will people react to? How will people react? If I say it in a family setting, I will be deemed as a very bold girl, as a bold, modern woman. So you see, I have been touted by many people, from my own people, my own, not family, outside family, that I am a very modern woman because I teach English. So this is how the mentality goes. We women are afraid to speak our mind. We are constantly on the look. We are looking over our shoulders. What if I say this? What will happen? What if I say this? How will they react? What will and how will I be perceived? What will be my perception among people? Because if I say even a slightly different from the normal, I will be taken as a modern, bold, or whatever the implication is there. So we women keep suppressing our thoughts. It is, next slide, please. Unnoticed, unacknowledged, unpunished genocide of female voices. Genocide. Katle-aam. That is, you simply kill them. Killing our voice is killing us. A person who cannot speak, he is no longer alive. We cannot speak his mind. The next slide, please. Socrates. Socrates was asked, said that I would prefer to drink the bowl of poison, but I will never deter from speaking the truth. So we women are all Socrates. We keep downing the balls of poison inside us, though things are changing, of course. But I'm talking about the tradition of not allowing women a say in the matters of the family, in the matters of the community, in the matters of business, or whatever it is. So we keep drinking the bowls of poison. Even I, as an associate professor of English, many times it so happens, I have to weigh my words. I have to just be alert that some of my words should not be misconstrued, should not be misinterpreted. Then there is a good girl syndrome. This is a good girl. She is quiet. She doesn't object to many things. She obeys. She's a good girl. So this is the syndrome. The more you tell the girl that she is good girl because she is silent, because she is obedient, she tries more and more, harder and harder to be more silent, to be more obedient. What she feels, what she wants, nobody wants to know. Body language of women. Even the most confident of women, the CEOs of company, the body language, if you observe that there are studies, when they enter a room, their shoulders are shrunk. They want to shrink themselves. They always like this. They are holding their hands like this. Their shoulders are shrunk. They look down. Then they want to avoid the looks. What does this indicate? This indicates that they want to vanish from there. They are trying to hide their existence. This is revealed through body languages of even the most confident of CEOs, because we women have been trained to be like that, we have to be invisible. Even in a gathering, we have to speak up only when asked to or only when necessary. And our being quiet is taken as a being a good girl. Yeah, she is a rightly bred girl, belongs to a very good family, because she's quiet, she's polite, she doesn't object to, even if she is persecuted, even oppression happens over her, she doesn't speak. So that is kind of, you can say, a quiet injustice that is going on with the girls. And even you look at the streets, women have no significant. Earlier slide, please. Earlier, I will ask you to the next slide. Earlier slide number, I think 11, slide number 11. So on the street, you see women walk very fast. You can see many boys and men standing in groups, chatting and enjoying themselves. I really look at them and sigh deeply, because we women as a group, as a thing, we are not that in general allowed to stand on the streets, make groups on the street, have fun, just for like that, just to enjoy ourselves, just to have some air. No, women are not expected. I'm not saying no, women don't do this or it is wrong. I'm saying that women are expected not to do these things. That's why you find the streets, women are always walking, always rushing. Even their walk is set like that, straight they are going, they are don't just stop, they don't just look here and there. There is a fear in them, a kind of fear. They want to reach the destination because they don't know what will happen to them, because our streets are unsafe. This is the responsibility of the men, to make the streets, the homes safe for women. Unfortunately, what happens is that we say marked safe in floods, like Konkan floods happen, earthquakes happen, marked safe. On Facebook, there is a feature as well. I want to ask, are women marked safe even in their homes? Next slide, please. Our silence, this is the mistake of fault of our own women. We should start speaking up. We should start speaking up our mind. We should not fear what the other party is going to take it, how it is going to misinterpret. We do not have to worry about that. We just need to speak what we feel, how we feel, and we should refuse to be taken down. We should refuse. No, this is how I think. This is how I feel. And as a human being, human right, I have a right to express myself. So without mincing words, we should start speaking. This is the first step towards our emancipation. As I told you, women empowerment begins from within. It comes from inside. So if you stop speaking, I'm sorry. If we don't speak up, if we don't say how we feel, then how is the world going to know about us? So let us break this chain of silence somewhere. We should not never demand our right. Our rights, our own rights, they are with us. We should take them up. We should take it. We should assert on it. We should say, this is the thing which is my right as a human being, in a college meeting, in an office meeting, in a family gathering. This is my right as a human being to speak, and I am going to speak. So this is the right you should take in your hand. You should not wait for someone to give that right. Give us our rights, give us our rights. We demand our rights. Why demand? They are with you. They are within you. Take them up. It is your fault that you are not taking. It is the women's fault that we are not taking it. And the last thing here in this slide is women should be treated equally. Always it is said. But I think they should be recognized as equal. What is treating as equal? Are we some object, some animal treating? No, this word is wrong. Women should be recognized as equal. It should come again from within. Next slide, please. Forgive me, my throat is troubling a bit. The subtle misogyny. This misogyny is not very visible. Women are not listened to. Their opinions are easily dismissed. You can observe in a office meeting how many women speak up, how their thoughts and views are valued, whether they are given the same respect, the same ears which are given to the men and the boys, because men are considered to be all knowledgeable. They know the outside world and they know better. This word better, this is mars the gender equality. So one should be careful. One should be careful about what women are saying. But normally in our Indian scenario, or you can say even international scenario, women's views are dismissed. They are not listened to. And in some cases, they are disparaged. They are dismissed. Just no, this is, kya hai, aurat hai, baat kariye. It's like that. We are expected to be both. As if we assert, no, this is the thing I want. They say she is arrogant. The one thing is there, the famous meme as well. Pagal aurat. What is pagal aurat? I am speaking my mind and you call me mad. This must change. This is the subtle misogyny we find all over us, all around us, in family setups, in official setups, but we don't acknowledge, and it goes on and on. Plus, women are expected to be, like they don't have a family, and at homes, in the family, we are expected to be the perfect mothers, perfect wives, daughters, and as if we don't have any job. So this must change. This balancing, every woman, oh, she's a superwoman. She balances both the things. Why is it not asked a man? The next slide, please. Next slide is the gender. Our gender is responsible. If we are assertive, aggressive, then we are called mad, and that a woman suffers because of her gender. Superwoman. Next slide. Superwoman. I was in a college. I'm extremely sorry. It's okay. It's okay. I was in a college seminar, and there a famous radio anchor had come, and she was very famous. She was talked very beautifully, explained herself, and the first question she was made was that, how do you balance both home and your work? So they expect women to be super women, that we will be perfect mothers, perfect wives, and perfect professionals. And that because we are super women, we can't commit mistake. We are idealized. So what I say, that I refuse to be a superwoman. I am not a superwoman. I just want to be a normal human being, like others are, like other men are. I would commit mistakes. I will make wrong decisions. I will do many things which are not expected of an ideal woman or something, superwoman. So it is just normal. Let me be normal. Don't make me a superwoman. Don't expect me that I will never falter. Sometimes it may happen that I may not be able to fulfill the duties at home. It may happen that I may falter in some professional duties. So allow me to be me. Allow me to be normal. Don't make me a superwoman. If you take me as normal, most of the problems will be solved. Next slide, please. These are some very interesting tweets, you see. No one asked my husband how he balances home and his profession. But if a woman is working, I recently read of an incident, a woman who made a vaccine, I forget her name. She was asked about her family first. How does she manage her family? Imagine she is a woman who has made the vaccine, who is saving people from this deadly pandemic. The first question, instead of congratulating her, you are asking her how she's balancing. How is it possible to work so 18 hours in a day? What about family? If she were a woman, if the scientist was a man, nobody would have asked him the same question. So you see the tweets, very interesting. This is a man who is speaking. Is it really possible for men to juggle kids, housework, career, 2 or 3 almonds, water retention, healthy snacking, self-acceptance, perfect skin, a tiny waist, and me time? Next slide, please. My friend is a history teacher. She is compiling a list of great historical figures, and she needs a male to add to the list. Suggestions. We also talk like this in our official setting. You need some woman name over there, huh? And then, as if you are making a you are doing a favor to her, her name is added. When everything is decided, the committee is set up. Oh, there must be a woman. It is mandated by the government policies. So then we add. It is not taken that a woman must be there, should be there right from the beginning. So next is the male brain is naturally wired to cook, clean, shop, and get the kids' clothes ready the night before, and we should absolutely celebrate that. Then a man is saying this, that I can iron the clothes, I can wash the clothes, and also take care of my office. The next slide, today's question. Will biologists ever find out why men are naturally attracted to unpaid caring work? अरे ये तो औरतों का ही काम है, घर का काम करती हैं, उनको आदत होती है, झाड़ू लगाना, कपड़े धोना, बच्चों को देखना, it is their work, It is unpaid work. Remember this. If you employ servants for this, you will have to pay thousands of rupees right through your noses. So you see why a man is not asked all these questions. This unpaid work at home. I am not saying start paying us. I am saying just acknowledge, just help a little bit. I don't think women realize how much men do. Imagine what would happen if we went on strike and did no housework for a week. So a man is just imagining, for 1 week, I don't have to cook, clean, and take care of kids. 1 week, I will go and relax myself. There are so many men I see who go on trips, but it is not possible for women because they have the home to look after. They have the kids to look after. So women realize it is upside down. The tables have been turned. The purpose of these tweets is to make us realize how much women do and how women feel, how women have started feeling. Next slide, please. Working Dad, guilt is your worst enemy. Tackle guilt by staying up late to get all your housework done and getting up early to finish it off. Kal subah jaldi utna hai, kaam karna hai, like that. You go on and on. So the same thing, tables have been turned. If you find time, you just look at these tweets later on. The only thing I would say here is that how do women feel? These tweets tell us the thoughts of a woman. The next slide, slide number 20. So the tweets were meant, we keep doing cooking, we keep cleaning, we keep taking care of everyone, elderly, the sick, the children. But what about us? What about me time? Does anyone give a thought that a woman also needs break? A woman also might be feeling not doing anything today. So empowerment begins from our homes. It will not be imposed by some government ordinance or some society diktat. It will be imposed from our own hearts and mind. Next slide, slide number 20. Economics of gender discrimination. So it is how, if the prices of gold increase, then more girls are killed inside the home. It is a study between 1972 and 1985. Only a mere 1% increase in gold is estimated to kill 13,000 more girls killed. Can you imagine? Let's take a pause. Let's think. 1% increase in gold per tola, and 13,000 more girls are killed even before they are being born. I couldn't find that link, otherwise I have shared. More than 30 million female feticides happen in our own country. Imagine 3 crores of feticide. 3 crores, some say 30 crores. Imagine You are not allowing the women to be born. 30 crore women. You are killing them. Who is killing them? You and me are killing them. The society is killing them. Our attitudes are killing them. What is the relation between the increase in price of gold and killing of women? How are we different from the people of the time of the ignorance? Some 2000 years ago, some 500 years ago, where women were killed. And today, how is it different? Even later on, what happened? Those women who were born in the month where gold prices increased, they were stunted in growth. Their height did not achieve the desired level. Their nutrition was lacking. So all this is economics. It is a famous proverb in English. It is all about economic stupid, or it is all about politics stupid. So gender discrimination involves politics. It involves economics. The more inflation, today the gold is touching 50,000 total. And imagine what must be going on. I don't know what study is being conducted or not, but without the study, this is a shocking revelation. This is a shocking revelation. And we must all think about it. The next slide. Naturally, when we are talking about the economics, let us come to dowry. We all know it. And the pictures are symbolic, which I have taken from the internet. 1961 dowry ban, and after that, less girls were born. Less and less girls were born. This is a very, very issue of serious concern for us. That naturally, the natural order is more girls are born per 1,000 baby boys. But what is happening is that the number of girls being born as per 1,000 baby boys has reduced to 813 to 850. That means 813, 850 girls are being born as compared to 1,000 baby boys, 1,000 males. Who are killing these girls? Why are we not allowing a beautiful human being to be born? And how many of us, I want to ask, we attend the weddings quite with panache. We dress up. We are very happy that we are going to have a good meal today. Nice meal for a wedding. But we inquire that how much dowry was paid, how much money was spent, how much underburden the bride's father has been. We don't inquire. What I say is that if we know that the exchange of dowry has taken place somewhere, then we must stop going to those weddings. We should not attend those weddings. This is how empowerment begins. Empowerment doesn't begin, gender discrimination will not stop because of some seminar, webinar, conferences and all that. It begins from you. It begins from within. You should take the decision. I am not going to attend a wedding where I know for sure the dowry exchange has been made. If that happens, every wedding you have to let go. You will have to avoid. You will be, you can say, deprived of all those nice meals and nice camaraderie with your friends. But somewhere we have to start. The next slide. The next slide. The next slide is Uttara. 20. Slide number 22. Uttara and a snake. This is a recent case. 2020 May happened. What is interesting is man killed his wife through the snake bite. His wife feared the snake. So he was demanding the dowry, and when she did not give, he brought a snake in his home, and the snake bit the girl. And you see, she did not know that it was all the doing of her husband. She was admitted to hospitals, and she came back to her mother's home for recuperating from that snake bite. There in her mother's home, this man brought a cobra. He sedated his wife before the night. She was unconscious, and he let the cobra on that wife, and he bit her again, and the wife died. He killed her in her own mother's home. Now, interesting thing. What is the interesting thing over here? Interesting thing is our attitude. We are paying dowry, 400 tolas gold, car, house, stuff. Uttara's parents were taking care of the foreign studies of one of the brother or sister of this man. They were also helping and supporting the medical studies of one of the sisters of this man. Now, who has told us to spend crores of rupees and give our daughter to a murderer? You blame this man. This is a worse than snake. What is that? Snake is a animal. I don't compare humans with animals. Animals are always better than humans. This man kills your daughter through snake bites. And how much have you done for him? You have given him everything. 400 tolas of gold, car, everything. You are taking care of every expense of his. Why? Why didn't you make your daughter stand on her own feet? Why didn't you accept when the first snake bite happened and she suspected her husband? The mother told her, husbands are not like that. How can he kill you? Don't suspect him. And the second time, the same thing happened. I will come to you, sir. Dr. B.D. Pagar, I will come back to your question, sir. Definitely. It is not about communities. It is not about religion. I have written articles to All India Muslim Personal Law Board about triple talaq. You can go to Counter Currents website. You can search with my name, Asma Anjum Khan, Saving Muslim Women. I have written ample articles about Muslim women where I have written about 4 marriages, about triple talaq, about how I have boldly written. I don't say boldly or something. I just spoke my mind. I say Islam has given rights to women, but Muslims haven't. Dr. Pagar, I must tell you, misogyny, gender discrimination is not limited to any community. It is not limited to any community. It is not limited to any religion. It is rampant. It is rampantly found universally, sir. You can, I am not saying anything just like that. You can just take it my name. I will write my name. Asma Anjum Khan is my pen name, sir. I have written to All India Muslim Personal Law Board directly. I was criticized by them. I didn't care. I have written to Shahi Imam Bukhari. He gave a fatwa against me, sir. Shahi Imam Bukhari, the Delhi, I told him not to do politics, to keep his nose out of the politics and don't advise us whom to vote and whom not to vote. It is not for the religious leaders to advise us whom should we vote and whom we should not. These are my articles. 74 of my articles are on the web. You can easily find them. And I will send all my articles to our Dinanath Patil, sir, and he can tell you about it. The next slide. The next slide is about of just a meme which I discovered, which I will read in Urdu. जब बेटियों को रुखसत किया करें तो उन्हें बताया करें, रुखसत किया करें शादी के बाद तो उन्हें बताया करें कि हमने इंसान का बच्चा देखकर रिश्ता तय किया है. अगर जानवर निकल आए तो वापसी का दरवाजा खुला है, वापस आ जाना क्योंकि शादी दोबारा हो सकती है. ऐसी कोई कैद नहीं है कि आप जिंदगी भर उसी मर्द के साथ जिंदगी बिताओ, और नहीं घर का टूटना गाली है. जिंदगी एक बार मिलती है. इसे सेल्फिश लोगों, खुदगर्जों और नफ्सियाती मरीजों, साइकोटिक पीपल, साइकोस, नफ्सियाती मरीजों के लिए गवाना जहालत है. बेटियों को सही मानों में मोहब्बत और तहफ्फुज दे. So the next slide is, a divorced daughter is better than a dead one. Dowry deaths happen in my community as well, in every community. This is not I never think from the point of view of religion or from a point of view of community. Women's issues are universal issues. And misogyny and gender discrimination, thank you Jyoti ma'am, is not limited to any religion. We are discriminated everywhere, every religion, every community. I am not claiming that this is good or that is something is bad. No. And I am open about it. You can simply search. Dinanath Patil sir knows about my writing. I have shared with him one of my article. I have mentioned Dinanath sir.
Yes,
He's
madam.
such a wonderful person, mashallah. So you can search. I will share my links as well. Let us go to the next slide. Building up of sexist attitude. So here is some percentage given. OECD countries, 38 countries are there. Austria. Yes, sir. Yes, Dr. Kunal Gaikwad, you are right. So OECD countries are 38 countries, Austria, Canada, Australia, and some other European countries, and they have made a report. What I say is that if the situation is this, that 86% women at home, at work are discriminated, what about us? We are third world countries. And I don't know what survey has happened or not, but this is just a glimpse. If such discrimination rampantly happens in the Western countries, what is we can just imagine the situation over here. Now, the next slide. Slide number 26. Building up of sexist attitude. Sexism exists in the way we speak, the words we write, the images we create, and the way we act. This is how sexism happens. It impacts women more, boys less. Boys are raised as boys will be boys. They will do this, they will stay out of home. Yes, Preeti Sinha. Yes, ma'am. Yes, yes, very right, ma'am. So boys will be boys. They have every right. They have every right to stay out of the homes up to 12 p.m., 1 a.m. Girls, 7 आप घरी, 7 बजे के अंदर आप घर आ जाए. हाँ, आपको ये नहीं करना है, आपको वो नहीं करना है. But boys, they are given a free rein. आप देखिए 8वीं 9वीं में बच्चा चला जाता है, 8th 9th में वो चला जाता है. He goes out of the control of his parents. He leaves home at his will. He comes back at his will. There is little control. Why? The father is very proud. My boy, my son. Huh? And the mother is helpless. He has to study. He is in SSC. He is in 12th and this. But I'm not blaming fathers or something like that. But there should be a proper balanced parenting. So 8th and 9th boys go and they start thinking of them as adults. There is no restriction on them. And then the boys will be boys attitude starts, and the women are suppressed. Don't go here, don't do this, don't laugh. I was told, don't laugh loudly. What will happen to you? What will the in-laws say? The one thing I heard and I was really hurt me. If you do this, what will your in-laws say? I was a kid, I was a young child, and they are telling me that what will your in-laws say? I used to wonder, who is my in-law? Where is she? What will she say? Why is she my enemy? This is how the mind is built up. Even in the, you see, the crimes of sexual nature, even there are judgments like that the woman was asking for it. Our Braveheart, Delhi Braveheart, some 2012, the famous case. And people said, why was she out at this hour of night with her boyfriend? Is that the question? The recent another politician's statement on the girl. Why were the teenage girls were out so late in the night? It is the duty of all of us to make a sustained and safe environment for the boys and girls both. And this is because she was wearing short dress, she was raped. Because she went alone, she was raped. Because she was a girlfriend of someone, she was raped. For being killed, for being raped, a woman doesn't have to do all these things. She is raped in her own home. She is murdered in her own home. You can see our neighboring country, you see the Noor Mukadam case. The girl was brutally murdered by her paramour. So brutally that her head was cut. Yes, the Noor Mukadam case, our neighboring country, her head, throat was cut. A mother of 4 children was killed by her husband because he doubted her character. A mother was going with her child and her older friend, she knew earlier, was killed. All this happened in 1 week in our neighboring country. That's why I say, gender discrimination, misogyny is not limited to any community, any country. It is universal. It is universal. It is everywhere. And sexism harms women. It harms men as well. And it leads to sexism or thing. Okay. Yes, sir. That is the point. Jokes. Now, the next point is the joke. How the attitudes build up. How do you get your dishwater to work? Slap her. That means the woman is a dishwasher. and woman is compared as she spreads the news. She is a rumor monger. The next slide, please, because the time is running out. The computer, all these jokes are there. Now, what is the problem with these jokes? Normally, when lockdown jokes were there, the woman doesn't go to the moon. Why? Because she doesn't need a cleaning. The next slide. The moon doesn't need cleaning, so she doesn't need to go to the moon. Just read this thing. It is blood boiling. Lockdown jokes. During lockdown last year, you also might have encountered many jokes where the husband is made to clean the utensils, his husband made to clean the house, and he is presented as a very poor and helpless fellow, and the wife is very ferocious. These are puke-worthy jokes. The reality is not like that. The reality lies somewhere in between. A woman is presented as ferocious, and a husband is always a poor, helpless fellow. Next, go to the next slide. Slide number 31. Slide number 31, it is estimated that 58% of murders that happen with women. Slide number, next slide. 58% of women are killed by their husbands or intimate partners. Now you look at the jokes. The jokes tell a totally different thing. That thing is that a husband is poor, helpless fellow, and the wife is very ferocious. But 58% women are killed by the husband. I will go to the earlier slide. Slide number 30. Slide number 30 gives you a chart that those people already we hear it's just a joke. Why do you get serious? It is not, don't take tension like that, nothing like that. But you see, those people, is a chart given you, a psychological chart made by experts. If those people who allow sexist jokes, they have the potential to be rapists and murderers. I don't think I have to add more things here. People who allow sexist jokes, they have all the potential. They laugh at it. They enjoy it. This is how the mentality, the attitude is built up. Now test your joke. Next, slide number 33. 33. Test your joke. There are series of questions. 33. 33 is that there are series of questions, because sometimes I am also confused. No, don't be a feminist, don't be so woke, don't be so intelligent. This is a just joke, a joke family WhatsApp group. Why are you taking it so seriously? These are the questions you should ask yourselves in order to test whether a joke is misogynistic or not, whether it leads to violence or hatred of women or not. There is no time to read all that, so I will go to the next. Mithali Raj, the next page, slide number 34. She was asked, Indian cricket captain, who is her favorite male cricketer? And she says, do you ask the same question to a male cricketer? Punch. This is how we women should start speaking our mind. Patriarchy. Patriarchy is like a boot on the neck. Next slide. On the neck of the woman, and the conservatives pretend there is no boot at all. There is no boot. Unless, because women started speaking, that's why it became visible. If you don't talk about it, there is no patriarchy. Some men say that the boot is so nice, the beautiful, so don't complain about it. Some men say, oh, not all men keep their boot on the neck of the women. Remember, patriarchy is like the boot on the neck of the women. Conservatives say, no need. There is if you start speaking about it, then only it becomes visible. Not all men do it. Some men say the boot is very beautiful. Why do you complain? And some women internalize misogyny. They say that we love it. We love the boot. It is so nice and comfortable to have this boot on our neck. So we are not complaining. So in this way, the boot is never removed from the neck. Now, quick, the boot and the neck. The next slide, please. How misogyny happens. The boot and the Mr. and Mrs. 55, an old film, a very famous film, among the most liked films, 100 films of Hindi cinema. There's a dialogue. Next slide, please. Can I ask you a question? There is a dialogue going on between the most beautiful Madhubala and Kumkum. She is the sister-in-law of the hero, Guru Datta. And Madhubala is averse to marriage. She doesn't want to marry. But her father's will is that if she doesn't marry within a month of turning 21, she will lose all her property. So she is in a dilemma. Guru Dutt, she befriends and she takes her to his home. And there is a dialogue going on between the two women. Can I ask you a question? Madhubala says, does your husband beat you? Imagine the question, does your husband love you or how much he loves? The normal question should be, how much your husband loves? What does he do that shows his love? But the question in our scenario is, does your husband beat you? The next slide. And even so, he still loves me sincerely. He beats me up, but he loves me sincerely. When you eat rice, the justification given by Kumkum, the character, even when you eat rice, you sometimes come across little stones. Oh, that doesn't mean you stop eating rice. We don't stop eating rice because we come stone. The last line is a punchline. Get married, then you will know. Get married, yes, get married, and then you will know the beating of the husband. I have known many instances where the women in my neighborhood and distant family were beaten. एक आपको बताऊं, वहां पे हम एक मोहल्ले में हमारे कॉलेज के उधर आगे पिटाई करता था और बहुत जोर से टेप रिकॉर्डर, उस जमाने में टेप रिकॉर्डर होते थे, इतने जोर से टेप म्यूजिक लगाता था वो, ताकि वो अंदर जो पिटाई हो रही है उसकी आवाज बाहर आए. दूसरी बात सबसे डेंजरस वो है, the society, the people, the individuals do not think that it is a duty to interfere between them. They think that beating of a wife by a husband is their internal matter. We should not interfere in that. We should not go in between that. So this is the case, that get married, then you will know. So, and if we refuse to get beaten, we are called as difficult women. It actually doesn't take much to be considered a difficult woman. That's why there are so many of us. मैंने एक सॉल्यूशन अपनी स्टूडेंट्स को दिया है. मेरे स्टूडेंट्स, मैं आपको जल्दी में बताती हूँ, उनकी जब शादियां होती हैं, मैं आपको क्लास में बताती हूँ कि जब तुम्हारा हस्बैंड तुमको पहली बार मारे, उसी वक्त बहुत शोर शराबा करना, चिल्लाना, पुकारना, सबको बुला लेना, आसपास के सब लोगों को बुला लेना. अगर तुमने पहली बार मार खाई तो इसका मतलब यह है, you will be beaten up for the rest of your life. Take action in the first instance. He should not beat you. He should not touch you in a violent way. This is how we train our girls. Gender sensitivity surveys I keep doing every year in my college, and they were appreciated even by our university. In those gender surveys, I asked them many questions. And a surprising thing is that they think that these questions puchne ke hai. These are all normal questions. Girls do the household work. We don't have to do. Dinanath said the time is up. Should I sum up in 2 minutes? Dinanath sir?
You may take 5 minutes, madam. You may take 5 minutes, no problem.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Please scroll the PPT. PPT number 56. Just go on scrolling. Let the people see the gender discrimination survey. Yeah, benevolent. There is no time for benevolent sexism right now. Yes, move on, please. Move on. Women against women. Yes. Okay. Thank you. So, can you come to slide number 56?
Yes.
Slide number 56, please. So I asked them different questions. Slide number 56.
Is it?
Do we have slide number 56 over there?
Actually, I can't see the numbers.
Yeah.
Can you see the slide, madam? The gender equality index ranked Denmark, or this one, everyone fails. Yeah, everyone fails. Then this question is also there. Then fifth diagram is given on page earlier. You should scroll back. So benevolent sexism is that हम जो कर रहे हैं आपके भले के लिए कर रहे हैं. एक तरह तो hostile sexism है कि आपको डरा धमका के रोका जाता है, और benevolent sexism, we are all doing this for your own good. We are not your enemies. In this way, she is restricted, and a woman is most harmed by this interplay of hostile and benevolent sexism. Slide number 46. Slide number 46. Next slide. It is the interplay of hostile and benevolent. ये दोनों के बीच में फंस जाती है औरत
Okay, whether on one hand you are strictly denying her something, prohibiting her, and on the other hand, because you are a woman, because you are our daughter, because you are my wife, you are my sister, you should not do this. Now there is a solution as well, that we should teach our boys household work. We should teach our girls to be financially independent. Please scroll, please scroll, please scroll. Go on scrolling. Yeah. There is a data is given there. Now, no time for that. Please scroll. Yeah, gender sensitivity. This was my survey. And this I keep doing in different colleges where I ask them 20 questions just to go GSQ. What is my gender sensitivity quotient? How aware I am? If you are interested, I will send this to Dinanath sir. Yeah, now let us come directly to slide number 59.
Is it?
59. Because we have to sum up. A tale of two women. Yeah. Yes, this is Miss Uma, the first Zomato delivery woman, and this is Manti Kumari. She is from Latehar, Burhar River. She is crossing for the vaccination program with her child tied to her back. People dismissed it as a photo op. Nevertheless, it is a representative picture of how women work hard. This Miss Uma, she has never taken an off since last many years. She has not taken any off. कोई छुट्टी नहीं है उनके लिए. She works 15 hours a day. She is a widow. She works up to 11 p.m. and she travels more than 300 kilometers every day. She is called as a superwoman, an ideal woman, and I objected to it. I said that don't take her as a superwoman. What is a woman who has not taken a single off in many years? She has not had a single holiday. She has no time for herself, to look after herself, to look after her health. She works and works and works, and you reward her as a superwoman. Of course, her energy and her hard work is commendable, truly commendable. But we should stop idolizing this tendency. Let women have some me time. Let women have some relaxation time. Let women have some time to themselves. No responsibility or no worries about cooking or cleaning, and they just have to have their own me time. Maya Angelou also says the same thing about it, the famous writer. Why can't women be normal? Why can't this Zomato delivery woman have a holiday every week? She has not taken a holiday in many years, and you idolize her? No, I don't agree with it. Give her her due right. Holiday is her right. Now, this woman also, Latehar, vaccination program, how hard she works. These are the kind of women our society is full of. The last slide. I will go to the last slide. There is another slide about this thing, the recent Olympic medal winner. And she was called as daughter and all that. So the one question was that, thank you. So one question was that, why can't be taken as an individual? Why do you add the relation of daughter, sister to her? It is the achievement of a woman. Let us celebrate this huge achievement of silver medal by that beautiful woman, Meera, as her own individual achievement, without adding affixes, suffixes, and prefixes to it. So thank you, Priya ma'am. The last slide, I think, says it all. Repression. This is how a woman feels. The withered tree, which you all of us see over the surface, but inside of it, the downside, she's so heavy. She has so much to express. She has so much within her. But where is the outlet for her to speak her mind? It is our responsibility, your and me, men and women both, to create a safe environment for her where she feels confident to express her feelings, express her thoughts, and she is not disparaged for her comments, for her views. Whatever her views, they are her views. Of course, a woman can be wrong, a man can be wrong, A man can be right, a woman can be right. This is not a woman-man question. We are all one humanity. And this humanity can be happy only when we understand each other, we forgive each other, we let go each other's faults and celebrate this existence and make it a life. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was really a thought-provoking speech and keynote address. There is no doubt over your courage and conviction and your dedication towards gender issues, irrespective of caste, religion, creed, country, whatsoever. I had the fortune to discuss all these issues with you during our stay at Aligarh when we were in refresher course. So I had first-hand experience about your commitment.
One last point, sir. Last point I would like to say.
Yes.
And I have spoken enough about Muslim women issues. Triple talaq. I have written to Shahi Imam Bukhari, All India Muslim Personal Law Board. Open letters I have written. I have talked about how Muslim women are not given their due rights. Though Islam gives us huge rights about that. Anyone who is interested in knowing about it can just Google it, Asma Anjum Khan, and they can go to Counter Currents website or any other. Just Google it. The articles will come. I will send more articles to Dijanath sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I would also like to share one thing. Recently, you have written one article on famous Turkish drama, Resurrection Ertuğrul, and you rightly mentioned that women's portrayal is much better in Ertuğrul because they are not shown in traditional or they have the leadership qualities. The women are being shown as leaders. They are equal to men in most of the situations, not everywhere, but mostly they are shown taking part in the quarrels and decisions and all these things. So I know about your courage, conviction, and commitment towards gender issues, ma'am. That's why I requested you to please contribute to your talk.
Thank you.
I know that you are in hospital. I know all about that, but I don't want to discuss here all those things. But from the bottom of my heart, I extend my sincere gratitude on behalf of IQAC, Equal Opportunity Cell, and Internal Complaints Committee for providing or for discussing your ideas, thoughts in a very prolific manner. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your participation. Now I hand over session towards Dr. Patle, sir. Over to you, Dr. Patle, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you, ma'am. You opened up our eyes about the gender discrimination and equality. Sincerely, ma'am, till now we did not know about the exact meaning of what is gender discrimination, but you have explained it very nicely. You also stimulated us to reject the events where gender discrimination happens. It is very nice thought. So on behalf of our audience, I assure you that, ma'am, we will follow your suggestion to stop gender discrimination and avoid such type of events. Thank you so much, ma'am. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Salvin Paul, sir, Assistant Professor in Peace and Conflict Studies, Central University Sikkim, Tadong, Gangtok. Dr. Paul has completed his MA and MPhil in Politics and International Relations from Mahatma Gandhi University, Kerala. He has completed his PhD in Politics of Intellectual Property Rights, a study on patenting biodiversity, traditional knowledge, and geographical indications with special references to Kerala from Center for the Study of Development Society, New Delhi. Sir, I am also very happy to tell you more about the sir. He is one of the recipient of DAD Fellowship during 2013 to 2014. Sir has many publications in reputed journals. He is also a good speaker. He has experience of very resource person in various events. So I would like to invite Dr. Salvin Paul, sir, to deliver a speech on gender discrimination and equal opportunity. Dr. Salvin Paul, sir, over to you, sir. Welcome,
thank you.
Sir.
Thank you, Patle. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear.
Yes, of course. So thank you so much for having me here. And Dr. Lalchand B. Patle, I think we have a very long association for more than a decade. Thank you so much. Because of him, I am here. Let me acknowledge the patrons of the Chopda College, Advocate Sandeep Patil, Srimati Asha Vijay Patil, and Dr. Smita Sandeep Patil, and the beautiful introduction given by Professor A.L. Chowdhury, the principal of the college, the advisory committee that is consists of the vice principals of the college, Mr. Dinadath S. Patil, the coordinator of IQAC, with the deputy coordinators of co-conveners of IQAC, Mrs. Shinde and Vishakha, and in fact, Professor Asma Khan has done a beautiful work of easing my job I was slightly jittered in my responsibility, but Professor Asma Khan has very beautifully narrated some of the fundamental facts regarding gender discriminations. And also, I think Ms. Preeti Sinha is going to further elaborate on gender discriminations. Dear friends, I am really challenged because I'm not going to use any slides, and I don't know how I'm going to capture your mind for some time, but I will pose certain very serious, challenging questions by extrapolating India's legal system, how gender discriminations is deeply embedded with the legal system of India, by examining whether women are able to exercise their autonomy in decision making. Let me at the outset challenge this title of this workshop, gender sensitization. I in fact want to deconstruct gender in Indian society. Why I want to deconstruct gender is that gender is a concept or a notion culturally and socially constructed by the society to define the roles, responsibilities, privileges, and relations and expectations of women and men from the society. So these are socially constructed. So these notions can change over the period of time from place to place. And this notion is not similar in across the world. Whereas sex is a biological makeup of male and female of people. It is what we are born with, and it does not change over time, nor differs from place to place. So if you look at the sociological or the socio-cultural landscape of India, it is a complex mixture of new and the old. Numerous modern institutions rest on the base of the traditional institutions in India. Industrialization, globalization, urbanization, and modernization have led to some irreversible changes for women, some positive and some problematic in the Indian context. On one hand, a liberalized economy has offered better education, jobs, decision-making powers, and opportunities for women. On the other hand, women have been targets of a strong backlash with increased violence in and outside the home. Acute wage differentials, discrimination, and continuing commodification in society are the major problems faced by women in Indian society. Undoubtedly, India is a male-dominated society in which the economic, political, religious, social, and cultural institutions are largely controlled by men. This control over women's livelihood choices, sexuality has existed and evolved over centuries through various discriminatory social practices and institutions that are the foundations of India's legal system. A combination of family, caste, community, and religion reinforce the legitimate these patriarchal values by putting women in a stereotyping position, and their role continues in public and private institutions. So dear friends, in this backdrop, I'm asking a question again. Since independence, India has initiated many legal measures, many empowerment schemes. Even then, why women are suffering from discrimination, exploitations, and demanding for representations in various institutions? Many legal measures have been adopted for empowering and providing autonomy to women. The Constitution of India and various statutory legislations together provide for affirmative actions in favor of women, as well as extend protectionist hand in their support. Laws also provide lot of measures. Education and decision-making roles for women is all efforts made to empower women in Indian society. But it is a serious question that we need to ask. Why women welfare measurements are not yielding the fruits for empowerment or enhancing their individual autonomy in India? These approaches and measures in the legal system are paternalistic in nature. What is paternalistic? These laws dictate what is good for women. Women have no choice to decide what is good for them. It is the legal system. It is an apocalyptic Semitic religious framework in which this legal system is framed. It is not the Enlightenment perspectives of Indian civilizational heritage that being an individual, being a citizen, being an autonomous agent of his own choices, a woman cannot exercise her decision-making choices in India. They are also protectionist. Means these laws are protectionist and they extend the support of state against attacks on women's person and property. But all these paternalistic and protectionist laws treat women as weak, vulnerable, and hence adopt these protectionist and paternalistic approach in several legal systems. Several scholars, especially from feminists, have disagreed with this underlying assumption and unravel the role social construction in creating such assumptions that women are weak and vulnerable. If you look at representation, the empowerment represents the granting of social, political, and economic power to an individual or a group. Women empowerment aims to provide women equal opportunities. It is a process of supporting women to help them to discover and provide them with the support to assert their personal power. The laws are enacted to empower women by granting them political power, by helping women achieve economic control and authority through education and social upliftment. The laws provide an essential foundation for fulfilling this objective by creating a constructive environment for growth and for facilitating women environment. But these laws are deeply problematic from protectionist and paternalistic approaches. Let us look at from a why protectionist approach is deeply problematic. Especially in Indian context, criminal laws majorly fall under the purview of this protectionist approach. The Indian Penal Code declares any form of interference with the body, dignity, honor, and marriage as an offense. The Indian Evidence Act makes presumptions in favor of women, whereas Criminal Procedure Code formulates safeguards in the interest of women. In case of arrest, additionally, a slew of statutes protect the interests of women in India since independence. In spite of all these protections that the law accords to women, justice is still far away to be achieved by women. For example, I can tell you one simple example that is changed in the recent past. Adultery is treated in India as an offense against the husband whose wife was being enticed away by a third person. If you look at a carefully analyze this provision that is available till recent past reveals that the husband, if the husband consents to the third party having sexual intercourse with his wife, then there is no offense committed. This provision, apart from treating the women as an object that belongs to a man, it also snatches away her autonomy. It ignores the fact that as a person, she is capable of asserting her own viewpoints. Recently, India's top court, Supreme Court, has ruled adultery is no longer a crime, striking down almost 160 years old colonial understanding on adultery, which treated women as a male property in 2018 by a famous judgment. So, any man who had sex with a married woman without the permission of her husband had committed a crime. So this is how the sexuality of women has been greatly controlled by the patriarchal society through the laws. So insensitivity towards women's rights can also be perceived in the decisions of the courts, wherein in many verdicts, the court held that women as a woman of easy virtue cannot complain of a rape, or rape is just an outcome of an uncontrollable lust that a man experienced, which was not in his control to restrain, and hence he should not be severely punished. So the feminist scholars maintain that law emerges from patriarchal mindset to reinforce patriarchal values. Laws speak of the male experience and portray male norms in the male voice while ignoring women's experiences and voices. Since men have had an overpowering voice in making the laws, defining it, shaping it, law reflects significantly how they see the other, even where they accommodate the other by making equality provisions in the laws. They do it in the patriarchal perspective and understanding, and hence create a fundamentally flawed perspective as the basis of the laws, thereby creating the gendered nature of legal reasoning and language of the law as problematic. So dear friends, the women are structured in the Indian society through certain processes. They are called social conditioning, biological conditioning, or private interest should be segregated all these conditioning from lawmaking or legislation. This will ensure the provision of just laws that endorse liberty and equality of people. When we look at these issues from a paternalistic approach, in the constitutional sphere, laws have adopted a paternalistic approach, what is good for women, using which they dictate what is good for women, ensuring that they get their share. The equality clause was set up towards achieving this kind of what is good for women. The constitution provides the equality of status, and opportunity for women in relation to men. If you look at the discussion, always centers around on marriage, on divorce, inheritance, are subject matters that are generally governed by persons' respective religion. That was Professor Asmakan was, I think, passingly referring to the personal laws. It is guided by ritualized practices and not based on rational reasoning. Within this purview, therefore, what the Constitution offered, it took away as well. It gave the right to equality, but effectively diminished the same by granting the right to freedom of religion. Women faces major discrimination in the domain of personal laws. All the personal laws were dictated by religion. It thereby left laws relating to marriage, divorce, inheritance, and succession vulnerable to religious dictates. So in 2018, I have supervised a PhD dissertation, Gender Justice and Uniform Civil Code. Whether you kill me or punish me, whatever it may be, I endorse Uniform Civil Code for women's exercise of their decision-making and proving their autonomy as an agent or as a citizenship of this country. So if you look at from the founding father was even really objected towards endorsing these personal laws. In those days of constitution making, it is widely accepted that personal laws are in the domain of religion, not a matter of secular legislation. Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar observed that the British had also refrained from interfering in personal laws. Hence, substantive equality for women remained trapped in the patriarchal notions of the state. Later, the courts also refused to read personal laws as laws and held that they are not amenable to be judged by the touchstone of the right to equality provided by the Constitution of India. Again, if you look at the affirmative actions, apart from various laws have enacted for the benefit of women, the Ministry of Women and Child Development has adopted many schemes for the empowerment, socio-economic development, and equality of women. Though the affirmative action is justified as it helps in the development of women, yet the very idea rests on the belief that women are weak and require upliftment. In the domain of labor laws, women are still trapped under the predefined gender roles. For example, it accommodates the interest of women by providing for their welfare in the form of availability of creche at the office. Creche means a place where you can keep your children at the time of their work. It overlooks that men might also be similarly in need of welfare measures. Why only children can be looked after by women? Men cannot look after their children. It is laudable that the laws are sensitive to the needs of women. But in doing so, the law endorses the patriarchal notion and dictates that women are to take care of children and men are absolved from such responsibility. It ignores the fact that men can be caring or that they may be burdened with a similar task of taking care of children. This facility of the creche is not available for the male members working in the factory. Radical feminist also raise serious objection to this and argue that the root cause of women's oppression is in these predefined gender roles. These predefined gender roles may have arisen out of the job allocation between male and female members of the society. Since women give birth to children and had to nurture the child, they were more closely associated with nature. You understand? That is what we, Indian civilization, treat women as deity. That is an exceptional platform that has been given to women. But the kind of dehumanization also done in this society is extraordinarily deplorable. Her bodily process identified her and characterized her as closely associated with nurturing and caring. Since women were engaged in caring and nurturing the child, she was expected to stay back at home and attune to her nature to the various activities centered on the home. Consequently, men had to be the providers. It is from a sociological perspective. While women are expected to take care of kids and other members of the family, including the male members, tend to supply their needs. Men had a role of hunter-gatherer who is expected to provide for the family. Eventually, men came to be considered very strong, aggressive, as against women who has got pink characteristics as humble, docile, physically weak. This led to a social conditioning, crystallizing the gender-specific roles. Keeping the social roles intact was in the interest of the society. That is why I am telling gender sensitization. Are you trying to reinforce the roles that are given to both men and women by the society? So keeping the social roles intact was in the interest of the society, and hence any deviation was reprimanded. Women are not supposed to come out of the family. Women are supposed to limit their domain within the four walls of the kitchen. Both the sexes were expected to fit in their respective defined zones by the society. This only further augmented with strict identities, which came to be observed and perpetuated through generations. Failure to conform led to reprimanding, and any deviation was viewed with contempt. So such gendered roles got embedded in the social institutions and structures. This could be seen through the presence of maternity leave in most societies, while paternity leave was still a rarity even among the most liberal nations. So you look at how law is reinforcing the gender roles by society, by limiting the choices of the women in terms of decision making, in terms of autonomy, in terms of fully understanding her citizenship through the fundamental rights and directive principles and rights and duties. So what is this highlight is the society's notions of gender role are being reinforced by the systems of the society and perpetuated through it. So let us also examining the reservations in decision-making roles to try to understand the juxtapositions that exist in empowerment of women. The paternalistic approach of the law also culminated into reserving seats for women in decision-making roles in municipalities and panchayats. For example, after the 73rd Amendment in India, panchayat raj institutions, women have around 50% representation. The governing criterion was to ensure equality and to bring women at par with men, which the law simply assumed. This brings to my mind another question: should women be judged according to male standards? If yes, then equality can be achieved when women are brought on equal status with men? It was believed that since men are in decision-making roles, true equality could be achieved when women are also put in similar decision-making roles. This binary conception of justice demanded parity between members of the society as true end of justice. This raises another question. This is a very serious question: that is this man-women dichotomy justified? Are men and women fundamentally different from each other? Various studies have very persistently and consistently explained how men and women differ in their nature. They attribute individualistic, confident, and aggressive attitude towards men, while attributing passive, caring, and submissive attitude towards women. Radical feminists assert that the man-women dichotomy exists in terms of male domination and women's subordination. On the other hand, the cultural feminists are of the opinion that men and women have different characteristics, and these characteristics should be determine the role they play in the society. Cultural feminism, though originally evolved from radical feminism, departs from radical feminism in asserting that women are governed by ethics of care. They would like the essence of being a woman preserved, as well as given due credit, regardless of whether this is nurturing trait in the woman is biologically determined or socially conditioned. Very fundamental point which we are yet to be explored in the Indian context. They assert that women give more importance to cooperation and value relationships and peace. This is a fact. For example, if you look at how pandemic was easily resolved by women leaders across the world, that was very commendable. Almost 5 leaders' names were floating around. Hence, cultural feminists conclude that women's action should not be judged by male standards. Instead, women's respect for the class of values they represent. These values in the woman could be better utilized by placing her in leadership roles. They would allow them to secure all these values in the society, thereby contributing to a better world. They speak of women being put in roles they are best suited to. For example, certain times in my lectures, I usually ask my students why Scandinavian countries are better in global peace index. You look at 70% of the women sit in the public offices, lecture posts, institutions, government offices, diplomats, etc. And they are able to have the values of leadership roles, peace promoters, etc. That is why that society is excelling. Wherever you give women the better opportunity, the better place, that society will be doing better in the current issues and context. So going back to the question, if men and women are fundamentally different from each other, then there can be no common yardsticks for measuring equality. Men are different in their own domain. Women are similarly different in their own domain. So bringing unequals at par with each other is not a real measure of equality, which is the trap that India is doing consistently. Essentially, men with their own characteristics of being individualistic and strong will grow in their own way, whereas women with their own caring and nurturing traits will grow in their own way. So trying to bring women at par with men would be a flawed attempt to ensure gender justice and equality. So dear friends, is the perceived difference between male and female members only a result of social conditioning? It may be interesting to note that the prevalence of matrilineal societies. I sit in Northeast India, a place called Sikkim, which is known for its organic nature. The women of this place are doing better. You look at the experience from Kasi tribes of Meghalaya, Garo tribes from Meghalaya in Northeast India. You mainly people from the South and West and Northeast India, North India, etc. have a look down approach to Northeast India, which you people should have learned. Look at these societies. These matrilineal societies experience the reverse kind of social condition. Women are considered to be strong, aggressive, and inheritance line is through the female members. Women are seen burdened with all sorts of roles and responsibilities. If women are weak as the basic assumption in patriarchal societies, then decision-making roles for women is a misnomer. So we assert that men and women are essentially no different as categories. That is in class characteristics, but display specific characteristics of their individual selves, irrespective of their sex. Then the application of equality principles to bring women at par with men will reflect a flaw. This we have to understand. So justice would be done when each individual has opportunity. Each individual is representing as a citizen of this country. Each individual is trying to exercise the autonomy of her choices, decision making, then the freedom to grow in the way each one wants become materialized. So law is a social fact, and so are the societal dictates. The societal dictates that arise in the forms of customs, traditions, norms and values that we are guided by each individual, and laws or norms of conduct of these norms, values are a fact in Indian society. And these are accepted as or followed as true, irrespective of what it grants, its validity. Look at North India, that how they endorse honor killings. So on children, whether male or female, with the honor to intact the family, they kill their own children. That is what. For the dowry question, learn from Northeast India. Why people are in South India, like Kerala, etc., is told very advanced state. Do you know the amount of money that has been transacted on the altar of marriage? Very shameless to proclaim the advancement in society. But that is what we need to learn from tribal people. You understand? That is what we need to learn from tribal people. So the dictates of culture, regardless of the reasoning, are accepted as binding without questioning. This is a problem with India. The customs, the traditions, the norms, the values. Let me ask this question. Who is responsible for a female feticide? Can anybody know? Why India is suffering from son preference? Is it a problem of the girl, the lady? That is what the fundamental flaw of biological reality that reflected in the conditions, the customs and the traditions of Indian society. So dear friends, the acceptance of these traditions, customs, etc. stems from a behavior long followed and imbibed, internalized by virtue of habit, instilled by a habit practiced for long. So law seen as heavily tilted in favor of women in the public appearance. However, feminist philosophers would disagree that gender justice has been achieved, though laws were made in support of women, protecting them and empowering them, etc., is far away from reality. Much of the barriers lie in cultural norms embedded in the minds of the people. For example, the first speaker was telling, you are a superwoman, you are wonderful, you are so beautiful. These all are embedded in the minds of the people, though it would be wrong to deny that there has no improvement in the status of women in Indian society. It is not enough to equate them with Indian citizenship, to equate them to exercise their liberal autonomy of being an individual in this society. So the fundamental flaw in the Indian legal system, that is the foundations of treating women as dictating women's good and treating women for something very big is very good for them, etc. From paternalistic and protectionist dimension is seriously need to be revisited. So dear friends, tracing the origins of women's subordination or the man-woman dichotomy may matter little when compared to tracing out the path to progress. For as much as women is caught up in the gendered roles, so is a man. The historical blunder of stereotyping men and women has dwarfed the autonomous capacities of women and men alike. It is largely true that women have been at the receiving end of the subordination due to gendered roles and would have benefited for more than if that were not the case. So dear friends, the growth of the society, the welfare of the society, the legal system of the society become truly sensitive if women comes forward or not comes forward, women gives chances to, because by characteristics they are taking leadership, they are looking at cooperative rules, they are peace lovers. Who are these people? Politicians are supposed to be peace lovers, not polarization that should be promoted in the society. So paternalism interferes with the autonomy of an individual. It snatches away the person's decision-making power and it decides on his behalf, not her behalf. The paternal agent prevents harming and promoting good. Liberty is thereby curtailed for individuals of men or individuals of women. So state paternalism in law is very common, particularly with respect to women. Laws have been designed in a manner that treats women as a group that requires protection. 1 minute, please. So let us look at the autonomy. Legal measures failed to provide autonomy for women. Autonomy means freedom to act and function independently, make informed and free decisions without the involvement of another. Autonomous agents reason and make their choices. They act on motives, reasons, and values that are their own. You all know for Immanuel Kant, who has made that action that are biologically determined or socially conditioned are not really free. Since each individual has this power of reasoning, each can exercise his or her reason and arrive at a rational and autonomous choices. This is not provided. That is what I am telling, that we dictate what is good for women. We dictate the protection of women. Why do you want to do that? Please why can't the women walk in the night freely? Why can't the women travel in the night? Come and learn from Sikkim and Gangtok. Women are walking and traveling night very freely. That is not that I'm not endorsing that that women are not having problem here. But certain times I will tell you that the society, the culture, the mainstream society, the mainstream culture, etc., need to revisit their customs and traditions. And instead of looking down at these cultures in Northeast India, that is what I'm telling very frankly. You look at the dowry death, you look at the domestic violences, compare and contrast, then you will come at how the social norms and practices, etc., promoting. So if women were to be groomed as autonomous agents, they are to be allowed their own decision. The legal framework that should stop taking decision on behalf of women. You understand? Recently in Lucknow court and recently in Supreme Court, etc., was strike down the lower court's decision that a raped victim should be married by the culprit. Is it the way that our legal system should protect the women? You are further reinforcing the violences on her women. When laws are made by men, they would represent the patriarchal and paternalistic mindset. Even there are ample laws in favor of women. Women are still struggling for justice, which is an evidence of the inadequacy of the laws in providing autonomy to women. So we need to make laws that are independent of patriarchal mindset. The predominance of women in legislature would also not going to answer the problem of securing autonomy. For as long as the legislators, whether men or women, are socially conditioned, they can't really be autonomous. Detaching the legislative mind from social conditioning is the task that we need to explore in order to empower the women. So the fallout of social conditioning are faced not only by women, but also by men, to the extent that laws remove socially imposed disabilities. It could work well, but it would facilitate the autonomous decisions. So law should enable the creation of social institutions and social condition conducive for everyone to make autonomous choices. Raising the number of women members in parliament will help in reducing paternalistic laws and ensure autonomy to women in deciding for themselves. This will ensure women-friendly laws in this country. So dear friends, as a final policy prescription, I would say that social engineering is required for the removal of social conditioning. Conscious measures need to be adopted to break free of social conditioning, having gender neutral laws, promoting gender neutral values and gender neutral institutions will go a long way in getting rid of gendered roles for men and women alike in this country. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Selvin Paul, sir. Thank you very much for your nice words and explain the learnings from the tribals in terms of gender equality, how they are contributing in decision making in their society. Thank you, sir. I extend my gratitude to you for accepting our invitation on single call and made possible to take time from your busy schedule, and you are among us. Thank you very much, Dr. Selvin.
Thank you, Dr. Paul, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. This is Dinanath Patil.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so let me take an opportunity to introduce our next guest, Ms. Preeti Sinha ma'am, Assistant Professor, Department of History, Lal Baba College, Kolkata, West Bengal. Ma'am has completed her schooling from Loreto Convent, Darjeeling. She has completed her graduation and post-graduation from St. Stephen's College, University of Delhi. She has completed her MPhil from JNU. Ma'am is pursuing her PhD from Presidency University, Kolkata. Currently, she is working as assistant professor in Department of History, Lal Baba College, affiliated to University of Calcutta. Her area of interest is history of health, medicine, and communicable diseases. I would like to invite Ms. Preeti Sinha ma'am to deliver a speech. Preeti Sinha ma'am, over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir, for the generous introduction. Well, at the outset, I would like to take this opportunity to thank Mahatma Gandhi Section Mandalan Arts, Science and Commerce College and the principal of the college, Dr. A.L. Chaudhary, and member of IQAC, Dr. Lalchand B. Patle, and a special thanks to Dr. Dinanath S. Patil, IQAC coordinator and assistant professor in the Department of History, Department of English, I'm so sorry, Department of English. I met DSP sir, as we called him, during the orientation program at Jabalpur when I was doing my orientation program. And thank you, sir, for inviting me. Well, the topic for today's webinar, which I've chosen a specific case of conjugal rights, and I'll trace its history. Because since I'm a history professor, I'll trace the history of the conjugal rights. Well,
My aim is to make this session very interactive. So please participate in this discussion. Well, can anyone tell me what's the difference between sex and gender? Because very frequently we use both these terms interchangeably. So can any one of you tell me, can one of the participants tell me what's the difference between sex and gender?
Madam? Yeah.
Hello?
May I?
Can anyone of
Hello.
yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Amrita ma'am is there.
Yeah,
Yes.
Amrita.
Okay.
हाँ,
सेक्स जो है एक नेचुरल फिनोमेना है और
हाँ.
जेंडर जो है वो कल्चरली क्रिएटेड है.
Very good. बहुत अच्छा आपने कहा. Sex is basically a biological concept. Right at the time of the birth, a child when comes into existence, the doctor assigns the sex of the child, whether वो male है या female है. So basically, sex is a biological concept. It's determined on the basis of your chromosome, your anatomy, all these things determine your sex. Now, what is gender? Gender is basically a social construct, the way we behave, जैसे हम behave करते हैं society में, जैसे हम कपड़े पहनते हैं, ये सबको जैसे कहा जाता है ना, लड़कियों को कहा जाता है कि be feminine, whereas men are supposed to be very masculine. Women are not supposed to raise their voice in the public, but men, the moment people don't raise question when men are boisterous. So that's the difference between sex and gender. Now, there are two more terms I would like to differentiate. One is cisgender and the other is transgender. Cisgender or transgender में difference क्या है? What is the difference between cisgender and transgender? Can anyone volunteer? Cisgender basically means people like you and me, people who are assigned, suppose I'm by virtue of my birth, I'm assigned a woman and I identify myself as a woman. So this is called cisgender. Transgender is a person who's assigned a particular sex at the time of a birth, but does not identify by that sex when he grows up. That person is called transgender. So this is the difference between cisgender and transgender. Now, I would like to quote the exact definition of cisgender. The terms cisgender are used to describe a person whose gender identity aligns with the assumption their culture makes members of the sex. A person who is assigned a female at birth and identifies as female is considered a cisgender. Transgender basically means a transgender person identity doesn't match the assumed characteristics of the assigned sex. तो इसे कहते हैं cisgender or transgender. Now there's one legal aspect to it, that is section 377, जो अभी पहले दिल्ली हाई कोर्ट ने डिक्रिमिनलाइज किया, फिर सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने उसको वापस क्रिमिनलाइज किया, and in 2018 basically supreme court decriminalized section 377 of IPC. Now what does section 377 of IPC state? क्या है ये section 377? बहुत सारे debate हुए थे इस पे, and a lot of influential people had petitioned the Supreme Court regarding this thing. What does section 377 of IPC deal with? Can any one of you tell me? So section 377, it is basically a very colonial law. इसे ब्रिटिश ने रिपील कर दिया है, ब्रिटेन में ये रिपील हो गया है, but India में it took 2018, in the year 2018 the Supreme Court decriminalized it, but still there are certain aspects of this law which is very problematic. Now section 377 basically states whoever voluntarily has carnal intercourse against the law of nature, whether it's with a man, woman or animal, is punished. Against the law of nature. Now, what does this mean, against the law of nature? Who defines what is against the law of nature? In India, it's defined by law. And sadly, the sad reality of Indian law is mostly it's colonial era law, the laws which were passed down by the British, and our government till date has failed to make any changes in it. Section 377 is still, the government has decriminalized it, but still people who fall under the LGBTQ community, the lesbian, bisexual, transgender, gay, queer people are decriminalized in this law, but they still cannot marry. अभी भी वो शादी नहीं कर सकते अपने मनपसंद इंसान के साथ. ये प्रॉब्लम है इस लॉ के साथ. Now, Supreme Court, now recently, two law students had filed a plea against conjugal rights in Supreme Court. Supreme Court में अभी दो law students ने conjugal right को लेके एक plea file किया है Supreme Court में. Now, what is conjugal right and why is this law so controversial? क्यों controversial है ये law? What is conjugal right is again a very colonial law. It was implemented during the time of the British rule in India. And the strange thing is, in 1917, United Kingdom government repealed this act. But in India, we still have this act. This act is still very much in vogue in India. So now what is conjugal law? Now conjugal, Section 9 of the Hindu Marriage Act 1955 deals with conjugal rights. Now, what is conjugal rights? Conjugal rights are rights created by a marriage. That is the right of a husband or a wife to the society of the other spouse. ये basically marriage में आता है. जब एक पति अपने पत्नी के प्रति उसका कुछ रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी रहता है और एक पत्नी को उसके पति और उसके घर के प्रति कुछ रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी रहता है, इसको हम लोग कंजुगल राइट कहते हैं. Now, this is not the first time. This is not the first time that conjugal rights has been challenged in the court of law. This is not the first time. I'm repeating it. In fact, during the colonial time, in 1884 to 1887, Rukma Bai, a very legendary figure from the state of Maharashtra, had challenged this law. Before going into the details of that law, I would like to go into the nitty-gritty of this law. Now, how can a case be filed under Section 9 of this law? कैसे एक case file हो सकता है Section 9 में? मैंने कहा it is a very legal concept. Conjugal right is a very legal concept. Now, whenever a spouse, जब भी कोई spouse, या तो स्त्री हो सकता है या पुरुष, अगर if they go for a divorce and the other spouse and the other, suppose एक husband ने divorce के लिए case file किया, but the wife does not want a divorce. So she'll appeal to the law of court to restitute the conjugal rights. Is it clear? So basically, what is conjugal right? Conjugal right is basically a provision. This provision is seen to be an intervention through legislation to strike a conciliatory note between sparring spouse. Sparring spouse, basically they take the help of the legislature, legislator and the court to sort out the issue. So, now, why has this law been challenged? As I stated, two law students have filed a case in the Supreme Court with regard to this law. But why? Basically, according to those students, it goes against the right of privacy, the right of sexual and decisional autonomy. On three grounds, this law has been challenged. First is right to privacy. It violates the right of privacy of an individual. The second is basically the state thinks an individual is incapable of taking his or her decisional and sexual autonomy. So on these three grounds, this law has been challenged. Now, in 2019, a 9-bench judge in Supreme Court has recognized that right to privacy is a fundamental right. So on these grounds, now who can file a case in this under Section 9 of the Indian Marriage Act? Basically anyone, whether it's a man or a woman, any one of them can appeal their case to the law of court. But this act, this restitution of conjugal right primarily and disproportionately affect women. Why does it affect women? Because if the court compels a woman to go back to her marital home, and especially in a country like India, where marital rape is still not criminalized, just imagine the amount of torture and the trauma that woman has to undergo. And basically people are questioning, why is the state so interested in preserving the institute of marriage? Because in today's time, a lot of young people, I see a lot of feminist questioning the institute of marriage. Is it really valid in 21st century? Do you need a law so that a man and a woman, do we really need the help of a law to keep a man and a woman together in today's time? So on these grounds, this law has been challenged. Now, I would like to give the example of Rukma Bai. Now, who is Rukma Bai? Who's Rukma Bai? I guess all of you have heard her name. Who is Rukma Bai? Rukma Bai कौन है? रुकमा बाई बेसिकली वन ऑफ द अर्लीस्ट इंडियन फिजिशियन जो कॉलोनियल इंडिया में प्रैक्टिस करती थी. वो महाराष्ट्र में उनका जन्म हुआ था on 22nd November 1864 and she died on 25th September 1955. She was one of the earliest female practicing physician in Maharashtra, and she was also considered a feminist. Now, why did she challenge this law? Why did she challenge a law? Why did this challenge the law? And what is the repercussion of this law, of this case? This case basically questioned it was a debate between law and tradition, social reform and conservatism, and also a question of feminism. Now, I'll give you a brief background of Rukma Bai. Now, Rukma Bai was born to Janardhan, Pandurang and Jayanti Bai in a Marathi family. Her father, जब वो 2 साल की थी, उनके पिताजी का देहांत हो गया और उस समय उनकी माताजी का एज था 17. Now, 6 years later, 6 years after the death of her first husband, Rukma Bai mother marries a widower, a very eminent physician, Dr. Sakharam Arjun, who was a visionary man and a reformist. उनके साथ उनका शादी हुआ. इसके 2 साल बाद Rukma Bai was married to a distant cousin of Dr. Sakharam Arjun, whose name was Dadaji Bhikaji. Dadaji Bhikaji के साथ जब वो 11 साल की थी और दादाजी भीखाजी का एज उस समय 19 साल का था, तब रुक्मा बाई का शादी हो गया. But deviating the tradition, Dr. Sakharam decided that unlike what was prevalent during those times, where after marriage, even in today's time we see, even in today's time we see, after marriage, a woman leaves her natal home and then enters her marital home. It's only in the Khasi community. Khasi community जो एक north eastern Shillong based community है, उसी में जो छोटी बेटी, सबसे छोटी बेटी, इसमें भी there's an exception to this law. If the youngest daughter will marry and the husband will accompany her to her natal house. खासी में ये एक exception है, but ये exception बस उनकी छोटी बेटी के साथ है. So Sakharam Arjun decided that post marriage, Dadaji Bhikaji will stay with Rukma Bai at her home and Rukma Bai will not go back to her marital home. ये था. And basically Dr. Sakharam ने ultimatum दिया था दादाजी भिखाजी को कि you will educate yourself and you'll become a good man so that you become worthy of Rukma Bai. But now what happens? Now 6 months into the marriage, Rukma Bai attains her puberty. Basically, she gets her first period. Now, what happens after getting a first? According to in colonial times, straight after a first period, a girl was supposed to consummate her marriage. But Dr. Sakharam went against this tradition and he said, no, since Rukma Bai is very young, so they will basically postpone this tradition. Now, Sakha Bai was basically, now Dadaji Bhikaji was getting very agitated with the interference of Rukma Bai's stepfather into his life. उनको बहुत इरिटेशन हो रहा था कि क्यों इतना इंटरफेयर कर रहे हैं उनके शादीशुदा लाइफ में. तो उन्होंने क्या किया, और बेसिकली सखाराम को डॉक्टर दादाजी को एक और प्रॉब्लम था. his age was 20. At the time when he should be attending a university, he was basically in standard 6th. So this irritated him. This also irritated him that why are his in-laws trying to make him a good man? You know, so after Dadaji Bhikaji's mother dies, he lives with his maternal uncle. Now, once he shifts to his maternal uncle's place, he becomes very indolent. He accumulates a lot of debt, and he was wishing that once Rukma Bai accompanies him, once Rukma Bai comes back and stays with him, the property, she'll obviously get property because she was the only child. जो भी संपत्ति था उनके parents का, वो रुकमा बाई को मिलता. तो उन्हें लगता था कि ये संपत्ति के साथ वो basically अपने जितने भी debt accumulate किए थे उसको वो मतलब basically he'll pay off all his debt. But Rukma Bai refuses to go back to her marital home. She says, no, I will not go back to my marital home. And she is supported by her stepfather in this decision. ठीक है? So क्या होता है इसके बाद? इसके बाद होता है Dr. Dadaji Bhikaji basically files a plea in Bombay High Court for the restitution of conjugal rights against this thing. Okay. So the trial basically begins on 9th April 1887. ठीक है? उसी दिन रुकमा बाई एक आर्टिकल लिखती है न्यूज़पेपर टाइम्स में. The article is titled "A Hindu Lady" and in it she writes, "My dear madam, I thank you very much for the interest you so kindly take in my unfortunate trial and in my native sisters in general." Now, the judge who was supposed to hear this trial, Judge Robert Finney, was extremely moved by this article. And before the trial could begin, and the lawyer who was representing Dr. Rukmabai, the lawyer who was he stops him from presenting the case, and he says that, "I think I've reached my decision." He says, and I quote, "Mr. Advocate General, unless you are particularly anxious to make some remarks for the assistance of the court, I think I need not trouble you, as I'm prepared to dispose of the case at once. I have been considering the case since it was last brought before the court on Saturday. And I have been looking into the authorities, and I have arrived at the opinion that the plaintiff cannot maintain this action." Basically, he rules in favor of Rukmabai. He says it's absolutely fine for Rukmabai if she doesn't want to consummate this marriage, and if she doesn't want to move into her husband's place. Basically, he respects the agency which Rukmabai has exercised so far. Now, what happened? And basically, Judge Finney found this the plea filed by by Dadaji Bhikaji, he find it very barbarous, a cruel and a revolting thing, he says, to compel a young lady to consummate or to move into her marital home against her wish. But now he basically decides his case on technicality. Now, what is the technicality? He says this plea is not about restitution of conjugal rights. Why? Because Dadaji and Rukmabai had never cohabited after marriage, he says. So basically, this is a question on the institution itself. वो कहते हैं कि ये basically Rukmabai is basically questioning the institution that compelled her to get married against her wishes when she was just 11 years old. Now, what happened? This case snowballs in England. England में इसको लेके बहुत debate होता है. Now, this trial went on from 1884 to 1887 in courtrooms as well as in newspaper, jahan both sides present their view and both sides basically express their opinion. It was not only a fight. This case was not only a fight between Dadaji Bhikaji and Rukmabai, but it was also a fight against the colonial state that was basically trying to impose its idea of righteousness. Now, what is right according to the colonial state may not be right for an Indian state. जैसे एक मैं और example देती हूँ. At the time, in 1829, we all know that the practice of sati was abolished. Now, what is sati? Sati basically means when a woman's husband dies, she is supposed to emulate herself on the pyre of her husband. जब एक पति मर जाता है तो उसकी औरत जो विधवा हो जाती है उसको भी अपने आप को जलाना पड़ता है उस pyre में. So in Raja Ram Mohan Roy, who was a social reformer from Bengal, basically was moved by the plight of the widow. And he appealed to the colonial state to ban this barbaric practice. But the colonial state was very skeptical. वो skeptical क्यों था? क्योंकि उनके पास अभी तो कुछ idea नहीं था कि is it legally sanctioned or is it not legally sanctioned? So the colonial state, what did the colonial state do? The colonial state, rather than going and asking the widow, जितने भी widow थे उनसे पूछना चाहिए था कि are you willingly or out of your own will are you exercising this choice? So the colonial state basically says if the religious scripture, अगर रिलीजियस स्क्रिप्चर जैसे हमारे पुराण महाभारत ये सब में अगर if this practice is sanctioned by religious state, then they will not abolish it. But if it is not sanctioned by the religious state, they will abolish it. So basically, when the colonial state was reading the religious scriptures, they basically found that this practice of sati is not being mentioned in any of the religious text. So as a result, in 1828, sati was abolished in Bengal, and in 1829, it was abolished throughout India. So still, women were not taken into women, and the plight was not taken into account. What was taken into account, was it sanctioned by religious scriptures or not? But as we know, in 1987, Roop Kanwar also committed sati. And there's a huge debate going on whether it was out of her own will or was she coerced. So basically the colonial Indian state was very skeptical because 1857 May, the first war of independence took place and the British faced a defeat. For the first time, their authority was challenged by India. So as a result, in 1858, Queen Victoria made a proclamation that they will not interfere in the internal affairs, culture, tradition of the Indian state. But here we see, in 1884, we see the colonial state imposing its idea of righteousness on an Indian subject. So basically, Bal Gangadhar Tilak and other nationalists were very enraged. They basically hold Rukma Bai's Western education responsible for her this brave act, which I consider it a brave act. They said because she's so educated that she doesn't want to stay, she's feeling ashamed to stay with a husband who's not as educated as her. So now what happens? Again, a plea is filed. Again, this time, the Chief Justice of Bombay High Court, Judge Bailey, reversed. वो जो petition जो Robert Finney ने in favor of रुकमा बाई को दिया था, उनको इन्होंने reverse कर दिया. ठीक है? And he ordered a fresh trial. He ordered basically a fresh trial, Rod. Now, in the verdict, the Chief Justice of Bombay High Court says he hoped that no more girl would be so handicapped by her education कि इतना कोई भी लड़की handicapped ना हो जाए कि वो अपने शादीशुदा life को अच्छे से ना निभा पाए. Basically, he wanted to say that. So now what happened? Later in the official responses, he recommended changes in the law prohibiting restitution of conjugal rights in child marriages. In the fresh trial, जो fresh trial हुआ, Judge Charles Farran ruled in favor of Dadaji. He basically gave a favor in Dadaji and asked Rukma Bai to bear his legal expenses. And if Rukma Bai fails to bear the legal expenses, she'll be imprisoned for 6 months. Rukma Bai said, I'm willing to be imprisoned for 6 months, but I don't want to stay with this man. She made herself clear. Finally, when this case reached Queen Victoria, who was the monarch at that point of time, she intervened, and finally this marriage was annulled, and Rukma Bai paid Dadaji rupees 2,000, and she later on went to England to complete her education. She came back to India and she continued, and she had a flourishing medical practice. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Preeti ma'am, for your nice words and informative session. You actually refreshes the memories of Maharashtrian woman, an Indian physician and feminist, Rukma Bai, and enlighten her work among us. Thank you once again. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Preeti ma'am, for providing a case in conjugal rights and bringing forth a new issue. And though it is not new, but maybe most of us were unaware about this domain of gender aspect. So thank you very much for sparing time and joining this webinar as a resource person. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, sir. Now, I would like to invite Dr. Shailesh Wagh, sir, Assistant Professor, Department of Geography, to express vote of thanks. Shailesh Wagh, sir, it's over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Patle, sir, for giving chance me for expressing vote of thanks of the national webinar on gender sensitization and gender equity. Today's president of the webinar and chairman of our Mahatma Gandhi Shikshan Mandal Chopda, Honorable Bhaiya Sahib, Advocate Sandeep Suresh Patil, I express my deep gratitude to him for giving valuable time and motivate to us from their well wishes. I extend my sincere gratitude towards Honorable Sau Tai Sahib, Dr. Smita Sandeep Patil, Secretary of Mahatma Gandhi Shikshan Mandal, and all executive committee members of Mahatma Gandhi Shikshan Mandal for giving well wishes to the webinar and continuously motivated to us. I also express my thanks to Honorable Dr. Asma Khan for spent her valuable time and express their thoughts from giving keynote address. I also express my thanks to today's resource person, Honorable Dr. Salvin Paul and Honorable Dr. Preeti Sinha ma'am for spend their valuable time and expressing their valuable and informative view about various issues related to gender sensitization and gender equity. I also thanks to Honorable Principal Professor Dr. L. Chaudhary sir, all vice principals of the college, registrar of the college, chairman of internal complaint committee, Mrs. Mayatai Shinde madam, IQAC coordinator, Mr. Dinanath Patil, anchor of the webinar, Dr. Lalchandji Patle sir, and all participants, all faculty members, and all students who is their valuable contribution made in the present national webinar. Once again, thanks to all of you by organizing committee of the national webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Shailesh sir. All the participants requested to fill the feedback form provided into the chat box. It is humble request to enter your all credential properly so that your certificate will be received on your email, and whatever your name will be written into the feedback form will be same as on same will be on your certificate. Okay, thank you very much.
Sir, excuse me. Sir, excuse me. Sir.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Sameer sir.
When I was out of yes sir. एक छोटा सा problem है. I was out of coverage due to electricity failure, so I'm not able to connect. So how shall I get it?
No problem. You can text me. Link, sir. Yeah, I am sending it.
Link feedback link.
Yeah, I am sending it.
We will send the link on WhatsApp.
I'll get it.
Okay. So it's posted on the chat box. Okay.
Yes.
Please find it.
We can sum up now.
Okay. Yeah.
Very well.
Sir, where can I see the chat box?
Just click on the chat.
Chat. Just click on chat, ma'am.
Below there is a toolbar.
Just beside participants. Are you joining from mobile, ma'am?
Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Then just click on the three dots at the bottom right hand side of your mobile screen. Then you will get their chat.
Sir, I have pressed the third dot, but I am not getting the chat. Yeah,
just
found
scroll
it. Found it.
Okay.
Yeah, found
Just
it.
scroll.
Sir.
Okay. Okay. If anybody face any kind of difficulties or not receive the certificate, then feel free to contact me on WhatsApp. Okay. I will provide you. No problem at all. Yeah.
Sir, very excellent webinar, and thank you very much.
Patle sir, please ask any of the participants for oral feedback.
Yeah, if anybody wants to give oral feedback, you always welcome, sir. Anybody, ma'am?
Please raise your
Samir
hands.
Pawar.
Shamkant Srirao, I think he is raising his hand. Please.
Srirao, sir. Shamkant Srirao, sir. Lieutenant Samir, sir. Yeah, you are most welcome, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. It's my pleasure. You had organized very excellent webinar regarding the related to the topic. There wasn't any technical issue, and webinar went very smoothly. I request your team to organize it again and again on different issues. and
sir.
wishing you all the best. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you for your nice words, and definitely we are looking forward for your convenience cooperations in future events. Yeah, Dr. Gajanan Patil sir is there. You're welcome, sir. Gajanan Patil sir.
Thank you so much, sir. This is really a wonderful organization so far as the organizers' efforts are concerned, particularly about the invitation of the resource persons to this webinar. Really, I have the words here that excellence has come out of their presentations. The first, the second, and even the third presentation, all of them, though they could not get enough time to present themselves, but the choice of resource persons and even the credit that they had given to their names through their presentations are seen really in an excellent way. I congratulate the resource persons as well as the organizers, my friends here, Mr. Dinanath Patil sir, Lalchand, then Wak sir, and the colleagues who have worked there for the organization of this webinar. Congratulations, you all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable feedback. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you very much. Anybody else, sir?
If anyone wants to provide feedback, just unmute yourself and you can start speaking directly, because there are a number of participants and we could not recognize who is willing to speak. So if anyone is willing to speak either in Marathi, Hindi or English, please provide your oral feedback. It would be a great pleasure for us. Okay. I think there are no feedbacks now.
Yeah.
We can sum up. It's only 12:50 as per our time.
Okay. Thank you very much, everyone, for being with us.
On behalf of my college, Internal Quality Assurance Cell, Equal Opportunity Cell, and Internal Complaints Committee, and with the kind permission under the principal sir, who is the president for today's webinar, I declare that this webinar is over, and looking forward to kind cooperation from your side in the future also. We will try our best to organize events of importance for all of us, for all the stakeholders. Thank you very much once again. And I declare that this program is over. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye. See you.